Balitang National. Good morning, Pilipinas, and welcome to another edition of Balitang National. For this video, allow me to use English and Tagalog as our medium of instruction. Ngayon, ihanda ang inyong mga sarili sa pag-simplify ng ibinigay na rational expressions under the operation of division. Now we have here the first rational expression, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared all over a squared minus b squared. This is also known as our dividend. For our divisor, that's the second rational expression, it's a squared minus ab all over a plus b. In order for us to simplify this, ang gagawin natin dito ay magma-factor tayo ng ating mga expressions. But first, let us try to use the keep change flip method, the method of converting the division into an equivalent process of multiplication. Yung keep change flip method po natin, ibig sabihin nun, yung ating divisor will stay as it is. That's why it's called keep. So you have a squared minus 2ab at saka you will have your b squared pa rin dito. And your denominator is still a squared minus b squared. So we have kept the first rational expression or our dividend. Now, let's change the division into multiplication so that later we can use the cancellation law for multiplication. And finally, yung pangatlong consideration dito ay we are going to reciprocate or flip our divisor, our second rational expression. So yung mangyayari po dito, yung a plus b, instead of being retained in our denominator, siya na po ang magiging numerator natin. At saka yung a squared minus ab would be our denominator. So for this, we are going to start factoring now. Take note that we have flipped the divisor because we are changing the operation to multiplication. When we factor, wag po natin kalimutan yung mga correct procedures. Let's talk about the first expression, the numerator of our first rational expression, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. This is a quadratic trinomial. Or more specifically, this is actually a perfect square trinomial. Paano pa natin malalaman if this is a perfect square trinomial? We simply look at this consideration. For a trinomial to be considered as a perfect square trinomial, the middle term, ito po nasa gitna, should be equal to twice the square root of the first term, which is a squared, and times the square root of the third term, which is b squared. You will have here the result of 2, square root of a squared is a, square root of b squared is b. So we have 2ab, but it's not negative 2ab here. So why can we say na ito pa rin ay isang perfect square trinomial? Notice that for these two terms here, we can place 1 po dito at saka dito. And in short, it's a numerical coefficient. And whenever we take the square root of any number, we are considering the plus minus results of those two. So here, we have two possibilities, the positive and negative 2ab, of which one is yung middle term natin. So this is really the reason behind the numerator of our first rational expression is considered as a perfect square trinomial. And if ever we have that, we can express this. I'm just going to write here, dito po muna natin lalagay, before natin lalagay dito yung ating result. Kasi if we have a perfect square trinomial, we can write it as a square of any binomial. And that binomial should be like this. Square root of the first term, a. Square root of the last term, b. And we will be using the sign of the middle term, which is minus. In short, yung ibinigay po na perfect square trinomial na a squared minus 2ab plus b squared can be rewritten as a square of a binomial in this form, the square of a minus b. Or we could also write it in this manner. Take note that if we have the square of a minus b, it means there are two a minus b binomial expressions to to be multiplied with each other. So if A minus B and then A minus B sa kabila. Now, we are done factoring the numerator of the first rational expression. Let's proceed to the denominator. Our denominator is the difference of two squares. Look at the terms. They are both perfect square expressions, and the operation separating them is subtraction. Hence, na-refit po siya sa definition ng difference of two squares. So, the factors for the difference of two squares, meron po tayong dalawang binomial expression, pero yung mga terms are separated by opposite signs. And the terms are this. Take the square root of a squared, a. And a din po dito. Take the square root of b squared. You also have b here and b here as well. Now from this, pwedeng nyo na pong i-cancel ang mga terms na ito. Kasi sila po ay the same expressions, or even this one here. But let's do it later. Kasi meron pa po tayong pangalawang rational expression. So this is multiplied with a plus b. It's the simplest form already. So lalagay lang po natin sila. All over, we have a squared minus ab. Dito po, we cannot use the difference of two squares kasi yung second term na ab doesn't give us the situation of it being a perfect square. Pero, meron po tayong mapafactor dito. Yung common term na a. Because both terms here have a. The first one, a squared, means there are two a's multiplied. And you also have a here. So when you factor that a, yung matitira sa a squared is another a. And dito po, you will have minus b because you have factored out a. Now that we are done factoring these expressions, let's proceed with canceling terms of similar expressions. Again, as mentioned earlier, pwede po ito. We could cancel that. We could also cancel a minus b here and here because when we multiply rational expressions, lahat po ng nasa numerator ay magiging part ng isang expression where all of them are under multiplication. Same as true with our denominator. Consequently, ito din po ay makakancel dito. So yung natira pong expression natin sa ating numerator, wala po, di ba? Pero meron po yang 1 kasi lahat po ito has numerical coefficients equal to 1. So we have 1 over yung natitirang expression sa baba is simply a. This means na yung ating simplified form sa ibinigay na rational expressions is simply 1 over a. Lester Lou Sigumpan, nagbabalita for Balitang Rational. Huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe, i-like at i-share ang video ito. Maraming salamat!